All right, in this we're going to be looking at two more classes of animals that are vertebrates that have an internal skeleton. Okay, we're going to be looking at reptiles and birds, two terrestrial land animal classes. So let's start with our reptiles. So our class Reptilia, they are ectothermic. Once again, we've heard that before. That means they cannot regulate their own internal body temperature. They use the temperature of their environment to regulate their temperatures. So they depend on warmer conditions to maintain a warmer body temperature. They have dry, scaly skin, okay, an adaptation for their environments, and they have clawed toes. Their scaly skin is very important to help with water loss because they're found mainly in dry terrestrial environments. With the exception of snakes, they all have four legs. Your snakes are the only order of reptiles that will not have legs. Um, they have they all have three-chambered hearts, except the crocodiles. The order of crocodilians have four-chambered hearts, but all your other reptiles have three-chambered hearts. So your geckos, your basic lizards, your bearded dragons, they have three-chambered hearts. Your snakes have three-chambered hearts, but your crocodiles are going to be the only order of reptiles that have a four-chambered heart. All reptiles have lungs for breathing air. They have internal fertilization. So after internal fertilization occurs, they will lay their eggs. Okay, most of the time they will bury those eggs for protection and for warmth as well, but for protection. Um, but we're looking at eggs for the first time that are going to not be jelly-like our amphibians and our fish eggs, but they're going to have an outer shell that protects those eggs, and inside that egg there's going to be amniotic sacs, and that amniotic sac is going to provide nutrients for that developing embryo. Reptiles usually excrete their wastes when they urinate, okay? But they actually don't produce water or don't lose water when they urinate. So reptiles don't pee and poop separately. Okay, it's going to be one process. They don't just urinate liquid. Okay, they actually, when they get rid of waste, it's going to be a paste type concentrated waste along with the feces from the solid part of their waste, but they conserve water as much as possible, so they will not get rid of water unless they take in too much and they don't need that excess water. Most reptiles can see color, and many have very good senses for smell and taste. Let's look at some orders of our reptiles. Our snakes and lizards fall in the Squamata order. Okay, so snakes and lizards. Your Chelonia is going to be your turtles. There's about 250 species. Now, there are differences between turtles and tortoises. Your turtles are going to be aquatic based, or the types of turtles found in the water, where your tortoises are going to be dry land animals. Your turtles will have more of a soft shell. Most of them will have flipper-like feet for swimming, and your tortoises will have the harder shell with the claws for feet. The shells are actually also going to be built into their skeleton, so you cannot remove a turtle from its shell without killing it because the shell is a part of its skeleton or attached to its skeleton. Your Crocodilia order, this includes your crocodiles and alligators, and there's about 25 species of these, okay? There are some distinct characteristics to help distinguish between the two. Crocodiles have a V-shaped snout, where your alligators have a U-shaped snout, okay? So your crocodile here, you can notice it has a more V-shaped snout, where your alligators will be more rounded and U-shaped. Your crocs are going to have a bigger underbite, okay? So their lower jaw will stick out a little bit farther than their upper jaw. Notice your alligators, their lower jaw does not stick out actually their upper jaw sticks out a little bit further than their lower jaw. So your crocs have that underbite. Your crocs can be found in both fresh and salt water. Okay, Nile crocodiles, freshwater. You can also find um, species of crocodile in salt water and estuaries. Your Nile crocodiles can move between both, for example. Your alligators, however, will only be found in freshwater environments. Another order of your reptiles. This is probably the oldest living order of your reptiles. Okay, these are the Turritaras. There's only two species that have been identified. They're considered living fossils because they are the closest evolutionary link we have with dinosaurs. As far as their makeup and their build, okay, their genetic characteristics are going to be more similarly linked to dinosaurs. They are endangered. They've been that way since the late 1800s. They have also similar characteristics to lizards and snakes, so there's not a definite characteristic that links them to one or the other. Some other characteristics of your reptiles. The largest are the anacondas. You have yellow anaconda and the green anaconda. The green anaconda is going to be the larger of the two relatives of anacondas. The yellow anaconda is going to be a smaller version. Okay, so the green anaconda is going to be the largest. Uh, and then your leatherback turtles are going to be the also a group, an order of reptiles that's going to be the largest type of reptile. Okay. Interesting about your snakes. Not all snakes are carnivorous. Well, let me take that back. Not all snakes have teeth that allow them to eat large prey. Some snakes will eat insects. Okay, they don't need teeth for that. But your larger snakes, like your boas and pythons, they will have teeth inside their mouth that allow for grabbing onto prey and pulling it in. They can unhinge, your snakes can unhinge their jaws to allow them to open them wider to take in prey that's bigger than them. The smallest snake would be your thread snake, okay, found in flowering areas, garden areas, very small, about the size of a worm, okay. And then the deadliest, now, deadliest and most venomous would not necessarily be linked together. But the deadliest snake is going to be the king cobra, and the reason is because it kills more people than other types of venomous snakes. However, the most venomous snake is actually going to be the sea crate, the sea snake. It is considered the most venomous because its venom actually works quicker as a neurotoxin, okay, rendering the person with nerve issues and eventually death. Now, there have been arguments that there are certain snakes found in Australia, like the taipan. Okay, that can be considered the most venomous, but you're talking about the amount of venom produced and its toxicity versus the snake that causes the most deaths. So we're going to classify the king cobra as the deadliest because of that. All right, let's look at birds now. Our birds, this is a class aves. Okay, they have feathers. They are lightweight. The feathers are extremely lightweight, and their skeletons are also lightweight. The skeletons of birds are hollow, so two adaptations: lightweight feathers and lightweight skeletons, to allow them to help aid in flight. Okay. Their forelimbs are wings, so they do have arms, and they do have bones for fingers, but they don't use them for hands and fingers. They have been adapted with wings. They have scales on their feet and claws, and these are for protection when capturing prey. Especially the birds that capture prey for food. All birds are endothermic. So now we're looking at the first class of vertebrates that can regulate their own body temperature. They have a four-chambered heart, just like our crocs and alligators. Okay, they have 6 sets of lungs. So they have a very efficient respiration system. And the reason being is because when they are moving, they need a ton of oxygen while they fly to power their flight movements. Okay, and birds can stay airborne for long periods of time. And so they need a ton of oxygen for those processes. So they have a very efficient respiration system as a result. They do construct their homes in the form of nests where they lay and rear their young. Birds lay amniotic eggs, okay, like our reptiles. These eggs are going to be more hard-shelled versus the reptiles. The reptiles are still going to be a softer shell for the most part, and they do exhibit parental care to their young for a period of time. Some species longer than others. And there are about 27 orders of birds that fall into this class of aves, which is going to be about 8,600 different species of birds that have been classified. Like reptiles, they can conserve water. They don't pee or they don't urinate like our reptiles don't urinate. They try to conserve water as much as possible. So it would be a paste type substance that comes out where that it would be the water lacking waste substance. Okay. Most birds fly, but there are a few that don't. Examples, obviously, penguins won't fly. The ostrich and emu won't fly. There are some birds called flightless cormorants that won't fly. So there are types of birds that won't, but for the most part, they do fly. And all birds will feed their young through regurgitation. So they will eat their food, partially digest it, and then regurgitate it so their young will not have to work as hard for digestion. The largest bird, ostrich. Okay. The smallest bird is a bee hummingbird. Okay, look at that flower, and those flowers are not very big, and you're looking at a hummingbird that looks very similar in structure to that of a bee, of a bumblebee. So the smallest bird is about the size of a bumblebee. And that is our birds and reptiles.